Before we jump into the show this week, we have a new and improved, expanded pre-retirement checklist. 8 pages that details 4 questions you should ask about Social Security, tax planning tools used commonly by most retirees, and also should your investments be changing in retirement. So if you want to check that out, you can head over to financialsymmetry.com/pre-retirement-checklist, or just check out the show notes below. We'll have a link there for you. But first, I'm Chad Smith. I'm here with Cameron Hendricks, and we're with Financial Symmetry, a financial planning firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we work with retirees across the country to help them find ways to plan for their ideal retirement. Now, today's episode, we're talking about 4 retirement rules of thumb that you should forget. These rules of thumb have come about through the ages, and people mention them and talk about them a lot, but often it can be restrictive and cause problems for you when you're planning for your ideal retirement. So we're going to talk a little bit about each rule of thumb, go through why it's challenging for you, and then give you some other ideas of how you might want to plan for your ideal retirement. So Cameron, why don't you jump into that first one there and talk about that retirement number that people love to talk about?
Oh yeah, everybody loves to latch on to how much do I need? What's that number that I need to have in order to pull the trigger on retirement? And I think that it seems like that stemmed from those commercials, if you remember years ago, where they actually walk around holding their retirement number. Whether it's $1 million or $2 million or whatever it is, we find that folks want to latch on to that number. And in reality, though, instead of having that number being the forefront, it should be more of a what kind of situation do we need to be in to live out our ideal retirement lifestyle? What does our financial situation need to look like? And a piece of that is the portfolio, but there's more to it than just that. So looking at your individual situation and also taking into account some outside influences and what that may mean to that. So inflation, taxes, the market. So there's a lot that goes into just having a number as far as getting into retirement.
Yeah, what is that sustainable spending rate? How about those extracurricular types of expenses you might find that could be really restrictive to you long-term care, insurance, elevated home spending, second homes you might buy in retirement, and or elevated vacation costs. So think through those and scenario plan out with a financial advisor if possible if you haven't put this together first. The second one we often hear from many generations before, I don't want to have debt in retirement. That's the rule.
Yeah, that's very common and one that may be warranted in a lot of situations, but it's also one that needs to be looked at in more detail because there are implications to having that, in most cases, mortgage paid off, but also some other debts as well. But there's a level of inflexibility that may bring about. What does that mean to your situation if you do deplete your brokerage account, for example, to pay off the mortgage just because you're retired? Yes, you have one less bill to pay because of that. But what does that mean to the rest of your assets and your withdrawal strategy going forward? In that window of early retirement, say that age 59 and a half to age 72, there's a lot of strategies you can take advantage of. We've done many episodes on those strategies, but if you don't have certain assets in certain investment accounts, it's hard to take advantage of. If you depleted your brokerage account to pay off the mortgage, it's really hard to pay the taxes on doing a Roth conversion. So it's something to think about when you're looking at your, those early years in retirement. Yes, we would all like not to have that payment, but is that the best for your situation? And so getting in the details of the financial plan to see, are you better off investing that money instead of using it to pay down the mortgage? What kind of rate of return are you looking at there? Can that increase your overall nest egg by tens of thousands of dollars? Or, should you pay off that mortgage? Is that the best decision for you? Is what we're getting at. Instead of just doing a rule of thumb, having no debt, let's look at your particular situation here.
Yes, increased flexibility, leverage, lifetime tax rate, all things you want to take into consideration there. The third one that you want to throw out, in general, because there's flexibility issues and concerns that you want to talk through here, is that 4% rule. So talk about that one.
Over the last 20 or 25 years or so, 4% withdrawal rate. That's been the rule of thumb for living a safe withdrawing from your portfolio. If you do it at 4%, you're good to go. That's kind of been the thought process there. But you have to think about what environment you're in when you get to retirement. What's the market like? What's interest rates like? Inflation, et cetera. There could be arguments made that 4% rule should be lower or higher. But in reality, once again, it gets back to what kind of withdrawal rate do you need for your situation to be living your ideal retirement? Depending on your assets, depending on your pension, Social Security income, or other sources of income, what does that look like for you going forward? We want to make sure that you don't outlive your money, but we also want to make sure that you're able to spend, and do things that you want to do. So it's kind of a balancing act, and it's one where getting into weeds of that financial plan is really the best way to do it. So you're going to have certain years of high expenditures, and if the market is down in those years and you're trying to do a percentage withdrawal rate, it can be tough. But in other years, you may have fewer expenses. So it fluctuates. Life happens. You can't just live by a 4% spreadsheet type, go by the book retirement, because in reality, that's typically not how things play out.
Again, a customized financial plan can give you peace of mind and more flexibility in spending and getting to the goals and accomplishing the goals that you want to. Our fourth rule of thumb often is talked about that, maybe I've got time to work till 65. That's generally when people retire, so I'm going to be fine. But let's talk about how that rule of thumb can get you in trouble.
Yeah, so when to retire, and what is that a certain age is what we're looking at here, and 65 happens to be that typical retirement age that people will throw out there, which is fine, but a lot of times we see folks not make it that far, whether it's just desire not to, whether it's forced retirement, from a layoff, or even a health reason that you're unable to work longer. So there's a lot of times that that retirement date is going to deviate based on your circumstances, and feeling like you have to work till 65 in order to feel accomplishment, or having to work until a certain age is something that we're finding people get away from in recent years, but it's still one that's out there, that rule of thumb of kind of, that's my age that Medicare starts, so I'm going to work till then. Or, look at Social Security, I'm going to work till 62 or 66 and a half. Whatever it is for those Social Security numbers that fits your situation, that's what we feel like people latch onto, is those years. Or even in government state jobs, a lot of folks want to get their 20 years, get their 30 years. But in reality, looking at your situation, you may be able to retire sooner. You may need to work longer. It just depends on what you've been able to do over the years from a savings standpoint, what kind of sources of income you have, and what level of expenditures you're going to have in retirement. So sticking with a rule of thumb of I have to wait till a certain age to retire, or I have to retire because I'm 65, isn't necessarily true for everybody. Retirement isn't just an age. It can be more than that. So there's going to be more factors in there besides just a certain age. So that's a rule of thumb that give yourself permission to actually look at your financial plan when the best time to retire is, not a certain age.
As with all financial planning topics, and those specifically related to decisions closer to retirement, a second opinion can always help. It can give you the peace of mind and understanding how your specific situation will look and the opportunities and risks that are there for you to take into consideration. So we spent a lot of time talking through that here on our channel. You can check out many of our other episodes. We also have a podcast you can check out, and we'll put a link to that below. Over 170 episodes there. You can subscribe over here if you don't want to miss the next episode, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.